How much can hate be? Today at the Civic Lens we are taking a look at 3 top stories. The first being the statements that were made by the governor of Nyeri County, Honorable Kahiga, rather translated to be celebrating the exit of Raila Odinga, essentially the death of Raila Odinga. We will be taking a look at the intricacies around it, who gains and why were those statements made. Our second story will focus on the former Law Society of Kenya's president, Honorable Nelson Havi's expose that has now put on the spot the right Attorney General, Honorable Dorcas Agik-Dhomoduor, for actually carrying out state business with an independent firm, a private firm called Triple OK Law, but to the detriment of the citizens of Kenya. And then thirdly, we will take a look at the move from certain corners to discredit Babu Owino's rise both in the Nyanza region and in the national spectrum, and the statements and past occurrences that are now being held into the public limelight to discredit Babu. But before the episode ends, we'll take a look at this statement. Who told you that because it is not hereditary, it is not permanent? That's a statement of 1984, and now it translates its image into the Kenyatta legacy that others believe has been controlling this country since its inception and intends to do so beyond. I'm your host Ugola, and this is the Civic Lens. Now, just before we go into the main story, we're a small channel we started just about a month or 2 ago, and we have to appreciate our viewers for skyrocketing us to almost 2,000 subscribers. If you're joining us and you're now new, please just hit the subscribe button so that we can grow together and keep updating you on these political matters. Now let's delve into the story. There is one governor who has set himself apart for the both good and bad reasons. Up to as recent as some few hours ago, he was serving as a leader in the Council of Governors. But he has since now resigned from that particular position because of the online backlash that is going on. We are talking about the governor of Nyeri County, Honorable Kahiga. Mr. Kahiga has set himself apart previously as a very orthodox governor who speaks his mind. And even prior to making these statements that are now kind of penetrating the hearts of mourners, he had previously, while supporting Rigathi Gachagua, made very aggressive statements towards the Ruto government. So this is his ideology, this is his method of politicking, it is so understood. And he's also affiliated to Rigathi Gachagua. So sometimes people have thought that statements that he was making were affiliated to Rigathi Gachagua. Brings us to the main question before we start the analysis. Did the statements that he made concerning Raila's farewell really statements of his mind, or were they influenced? And if they were influenced, who influenced them? And if whoever influenced them then to what gain? So let's start with the statements. The governor was quoted saying in his native language, but could be briefly translated as celebrating the life or the death of Raila Odinga, but not celebrating it the way people have been celebrating it in Nyayo, Moi, Opoda Farm, and later in Bondo. No, celebrating the exit that Raila's vacuum has created. Now, he is not in isolation. Most individuals have said that Raila's exit is a blessing in disguise, and they are celebrating it in their small spaces. But if a governor owning a big position within the Council of Governors as the deputy leader of the Council of Governors, or the leader of Council of Governors, in the leadership position of the Council of Governors, makes a statement celebrating the exit of Raila Odinga, then of course you understand it has to be taken with a different weight. So the question we are asking after that is, if these statements were made to celebrate the exit of Raila in the vacuum that Raila has left, then were they his statements or were they influenced? People have said that they are his statements. There's a group of individuals that believes that Mutahi Kahiga is one individual that speaks his mind. And this is something that he has done before. This is something that even after resigning from that position, he will keep doing. And he speaks his mind so much if whatever he's speaking concerns the Kikuyu community, specifically the mountain region area of the Kikuyu community. We had detailed here at the Civic Lens before that the mountain region is large. It has different communities. It's a Gema in unity. That's Kikuyu, Embu, Meru, Ambere, now Wakamba is in that region as well. But the Kikuyu community, specifically of the mountain Kenya, is the subject of Mutahi Kahiga. When defending this particular community, he defends them with every might that he has. And so people, there's a group of Kenyans that now interpret his statements in the social media space as very individual statements for the protection of his community. And he's celebrating this because sometimes the laws that comes to the mountain region or the political headache that comes to the mountain area region has always been this late Honorable Raila Odinga. And so it feels like with Raila Odinga coming or getting off that scene, they are good as a community to go ahead. Other groups of Kenyans now analyzing this online and are trying to interpret the statements of the good governor. I've interpreted the statements of the good governor to be influenced by Gachagua. It is not the position of the Civic Lens KE to actually infer things that cannot be corroborated. And so far, we do not know whether or not Rigathi Gachagua had an hand in the statements that were being made by Mutahi Kahiga. And so here the Civic Lens, they remain the statements of Mutahi Kahiga. So if these statements were not influenced as the position of the Civic Lens, then who gains if Mutahi Kahiga makes them? Even if they were not influenced by Rigathi Gachagua, these are statements that credits Rigathi Gachagua and discredits Rigathi Gachagua in equal measure. For the mountain region people, the statements of Kahiga credits Rigathi Gachagua because Rigathi Gachagua right now is the massive defender of the mountain region. So if Kahiga is making statements that defend the Kikuyu community, then those statements go in accordance with the manifesto of Rigathi Gachagua. That way, the statements credits Rigathi Gachagua within its locality. But in the national spectrum, these statements discredit Rigathi Gachagua hugely. If Rigathi Gachagua's bid was to go beyond the community politics or the mountain region politics and focus his politics in the national spectrum with an aim of getting voters to his side or voters towards his supporters, then these statements discredit him. And this is why. Previously, Rigathi Gachagua has been the individual that is sound on the protection, or rather the isolated protection of the Kikuyu community. And so if Mutahi Kahiga is playing to the tune of the isolated population of Kikuyu community beyond the community space, then he is jumping into the ship of Gachagua that is seen as a tribal ship. And this tribal ship affects Rigathi Gachagua's effect of uniting the nation behind the united opposition extensively. And this particular hurt will not be felt within the community, because within the community it's an ego massage. And I have to say this very categorically, not everyone within the Kikuyu community agrees with the statements of Mutahi Kahiga or agrees with the position of Gachagua. Most people who are actually even criticizing the statements that were made by this governor online are from the Kikuyu community, and they're saying there's certain sentiments like this coming from the backyard pictures them as a very bad community or as a community that's really isolated. So this is a message to the leaders. If you are a communal leader, or if rather you use tribal politics to advance your gains, then sometimes you need to have a baraza with your people and seek their views on what you are saying. Because most times you can say something thinking it's on behalf of the community, yet the community is looking at you as an eyesore to their name. So Mutahi Kahiga's statements hurts Rigathi Gachagua's bid to consolidate the nation behind him. Because if a group of Kenyans, however small they can be, can view Rigathi Gachagua as an individual that is centered with the mountain area, which is being viewed right now, and has foot soldiers that even discredits the death or loss of an enigma and celebrates it negatively, then that works bad for Rigathi Gachagua's image nationally. But others have said that the government works in very diverse ways, and the position that the governor of Nyeri serves in as the leader of the Council of Governors, or in the leadership spectrum of Council of Governors, is a place that is strategically in conversation with the house in the hill. And so others have said that perhaps the statement of Mutahi Kahiga was strategically influenced, but not with Rigathi Gachagua, with individuals from their house in the hill, so as to discredit the capability of Rigathi Gachagua to unite the entire nation. politics is a very interesting game, and that can be a move. If this particular governor was under a payroll of certain individuals from the mountain in the hill, then it is very clear that he could be influenced to make these statements that seem like Rigathi Gachagua's statements attacking Raila, so that Rigathi Gachagua's image and his image can be seen as one and be discredited as the images that did not even have remorse to mourn the Raila Odinga personality. So these statements are going on, and as they are going on, the governor has now resigned from the position that he was holding in the Council of Governors. Other people from the X-Space, Kikuyus, are actually now calling for impeachment of this governor, so that we have a politics or a political environment that envisions values and accepts and celebrates values, other than having a political environment that promotes tribalism and divisive politics within the nation.
Thank you very much, fellow Kenyans. I want to take this moment to address issues that have emanated from a vernacular clip that is circulating in social media. From the very onset, I want to sincerely apologize to our mourning nation, to the family of the Right Honorable former Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga, Mama Ida, her children Rosemary Jr. and Winnie, Honorable Senator Oburu Odinga and Honorable MP Ruth Odinga, and other siblings and their larger extended family, the ODM fraternity, and the Luo nation and Kenyans at large. And to my colleague leaders from all sides of the political divide for any harm that it has elicited. The clip was taken while attending a burial in my home village, and my remarks were in no way celebratory. What I meant is that under the current broad-based government, we have seen skewed development, and politically, the loss of the Right Honorable former Prime Minister Raila Odinga sent everyone back to the drawing board. As the popular saying goes, God takes the best, and it is in this context that I made those remarks in vernacular. Let me also make it clear that the remarks I made are my personal views, and therefore should in no way be associated with the community's position or any political affiliation, nor the Council of Governors. Finally, in noting the huge public interest that this issue has generated, I am taking responsibility of the real and perceived meaning of my remarks, and as a result, therefore, I have decided that with immediate effect, I am going to step down as the Vice Chair of the Council of Governors. And as I do that, I also pray that the soul of the Right Honorable Prime Minister Raila Odinga continue resting in eternal peace. God bless Kenya. Thank you very much. How do you say that in? Wege maine no horo wa ukoria kuri oraroragio. Na leu tondu Prime Minister witu ni aratutigire. Uria ndiroigire ni ati no nginya gucokwo gitama kiarirwo ringi nigetha gukirorwo uria gugugithie. Ndeto icio ni iragarurirwo ni aria mangienda gucigarura, na koguo ni ngwenda kuoya mweke uyu kuri bururi mugima na kuri andu othe aria Raila Amolo Odinga akoretwo ari mundu tuhete gitio uturwereire akarwira katiba gaka, na ni ngwenda kuoya mweke uyu njira mundu wothe ungikorwo ahiteirio ni ciugo icio noguo irathiurukio njuge pole. Na ni undu wa uguo, na ni undu wa gutuika ati ciugo icio ni ndiraririe, ndingenda kugweta ati dinaria iguru ria mundu kana handu-ini ha mundu, dinaria uhoro wa COG, ndiraririe ta mutahi wa Kahiga, ti maundu mau mange. Na koguo nigetha njoe kindu gitagwo responsibility kana njoe murigo ucio ri wakwa kwambiriria riu ni nderutira gutiga wira wa gutuika Vice Chair wa Council ya Magavana nigetha uhoro ucio githio na mbere. Koguo ni gwenda gucokia ngatho kuri bururi. Thengio muno.
So the statements of Governor Kahiga has penetrated a heart in the heart of mourners, and has had people wondering whether or not this governor was sane to celebrate the exit of Raila Odinga that way, few days, roughly less than 3 days after the enigma being buried. But as I said in the beginning, large groups, large amounts of Kenyans, even those that mourned Baba, others feel like perhaps his exit was a blessing in disguise, and they are having these conversations in their small spaces, but they have not come out to vocalize them, like the governor of Nyeri County, Honorable Mutahi Kahiga. And we only hope that this particular statement be viewed as his own and not influenced. And if they were influenced, then we hope they are not being used as political tools to divide the country ahead of 2027. Our second story focuses on Nelson Havi and Dorcas Oduor. Now, the first female Attorney General of the Republic of Kenya was witnessed under this government. And Honorable Dorcas Oduor has been not so visible in the public limelight until lately during the funeral of Raila Odinga, where now she was so visible as being in so much pain and in being in so much, I'd say, distraught. And this would be understood because Honorable Dorcas Oduor is among the individuals that have now joined the national government as a result of the broad-based arrangement between Raila Odinga and William Ruto. So it could be said that the loss of Raila Odinga affected her personally if Raila had a hand in her being appointed as the Attorney General. But that aside, there is a firm that has also come to play, the Triple OK Law, a very prestigious firm, a very top-tier law firm that Miguna is now blaming to be a KANU and Raila Odinga investment law firm. But the leadership of that law firm is really sound, and it's of individuals whose character is not questionable. Among them is the senior counsel, who is also doubling as the chairperson of the Sports Tribunal, Honorable Counsel John Ohaga. Pardon me for using the Honorable in his name. Counsel John Ohaga. So the senior counsel John Ohaga, among other counsels, now are the manager, the senior partners of that particular firm. But the firm has an array of legal minds that are very brilliant, from the partners all the way to the interns who are in the firm. Now, this firm that has previously been blamed to actually be doing business with the KANU party and Raila Odinga previously is a private entity. And so there is this arrangement that sometimes government entities get into with private law firms to actually carry out their mandates legally. It's something that's allowed. It's something that goes on in practice. You might find a county government being represented with a private firm. You might find the KENHA, Kenya National Highways Authority, being represented by an independent firm. You can find the Office of the Attorney General receiving the claims but being represented by an independent firm because of the diversity and the expertise of these independent firms in certain areas that sometimes become the substratum of disputes. So that is not an issue. But the issue that has come to attention is that sometimes back, the Nelson Havi brought to our attention the Adani issue. And there was a law firm that was supposed to be paid 250 million in fees just because the Office of the Attorney General took some time to replying into their particular application. And so these intricacies were discussed when Nelson Havi brought it, of these firms that are actually being used as schemes to launder money from the government. And far be it from the Civic Lens from blaming Triple OK as being such a firm that is used as a scheme to launder money. Ours is only to put to your attention what is in the public limelight. Now it has resurfaced that this particular firm allegedly sent some letter typewritten to Nelson Havi without any evidence tying it to Triple OK law firm, without any evidence showing that it was typed from the offices of Triple OK law firm, but it was addressed to Nelson Havi. And the contents of the letter was saying that there is a whole group of secret government documents that are being operated within the offices of Triple OK law firm. And these particular secret documents are not being operated in the normal manner that they always operate cases that come from the government, but it seems like it's being operated as a scheme for the Attorney General herself. Now, the Attorney General, Honorable Dorcas Oduor, is on the spot as a result of these allegations. I have to say categorically that Havi's allegations were not taken uniformly as the truth. Others have asked Havi to go ahead and really verify whether these statements were made by an individual from Triple OK, even if the letter itself says that it was typed by an associate from Triple OK law firm, so as to ascertain that the information is actually coming from Triple OK law firm and it's not typed somewhere in River Road and sent to Havi, or even typed in Havi's office and put in an envelope for Havi to read. So these particular allegations are around Triple OK, but the substance of their weight is still not confirmed. And so we cannot say that Triple OK is actually at fault or they are not at fault. We cannot say that with certainty. Though we hope to see that if we can get more information beyond the letter that was sent to Nelson Havi, that in it attaches evidence to prove that whatever is being said in the Triple OK law firm is so, then it is so. But let me put this disclaimer that where there is smoke, most times than often not, there is fire. And so if there is these allegations that actually Triple OK law firm is being used as a money laundering scheme to benefit Dorcas Oduor in her personal capacity and not as the Attorney General, then those particular allegations need to be taken seriously, and the relevant bodies need to start carrying out investigation to establish whether or not this is the truth. But if this is the truth, then it goes against the tenancy of the principles established in the Constitution of Kenya, requiring transparency, impartiality, of course, from these state officials like Attorney General, so that an Attorney General serving as a state officer is exempted from carrying out an individual private practice. So we hope to see the development on this issue. We will just bring it to your attention that's out there, that perhaps the Office of the Attorney General, from the Adani deal to date, has something going on with the Triple OK law firm which is actually not right. As it develops, we will keep you updated on it. Now let's go to our political story of the day, which is the third story. Now, Babu Owino, and we detailed in one of our episodes here at the Civic Lens, has this particular likelihood of rising to power. The way he was received in Kasarani, but even prior to that, the way he was received in Dalmas Otieno's burial, that actually had tongues waggling, the way he got received in Kasarani like a king and managed the crowd when everyone was shying away, the way when he stood in the Nyanza's burial now of Raila Odinga in Bondo, in the Opoda farm, to be introduced by Nili Odhiambo, the crowd went berserk. This particular systems or systematic appreciation of Babu has sent a message to the ruling class, and so they are looking at Nyanza as a particular uninhibited voter base now that Raila is gone, as an hinterland to scramble for and divide amongst themselves. And they're finding that the challenge at that place as they do that is this individual called Babu Owino. So what's their move? The people who don't like Babu Owino, including Miguna, has gone on to discredit him thoroughly. The discrediting starts from his own lineage, where Miguna now discredits Babu for not being a Luo, even if he's being promoted as the Luo kingpin. And with this, Miguna has alleged certain things about Babu's dad that call for Babu's response, telling Miguna of his village, of his dad's name, his grandfather's name, and his mother's name. Now Miguna wants Babu to show a picture of himself, his father, and his siblings when he was young, so that he can prove that Babu is actually a Luo to take over the Luo kingship if he will take it over from Raila Odinga. This is very hilarious, that for you to actually lead a people, you have to prove who your father is and take a picture with him and your siblings. I wonder what would happen of leaders who grew up without taking pictures of their fathers and their siblings, if now their light comes, like Babu's light has come in the public limelight, whether this would be a request. And so sober Kenyans have asked him to discredit Miguna, saying Miguna cannot even be appointed as a chairperson of a cattle dip in Kano, leave alone being appointed as a governor of Nairobi. And so his statements are actually noise that should not distract, noise of a frog that should not distract a cattle from drinking water. But Miguna is not alone in these attacks. Individuals, bloggers of government and bloggers of Sakaja have also brought forward pictures of crimes of Babu, either Babu drinking excessively or Babu's incident with the DJ Evolve or Babu's with his friends doing drugs, all this to discredit his ability to lead. But Babu has consistently showed a sober mind in his speeches and in his leadership. It is only fair to state it here, because we are very impartial media space, that Babu's accolades have proven over time to be way bigger than his faults. And Babu is not an angel, he's just a human being that has faults, but his faults really has not downplayed in his service delivery for the people. Recently, he was celebrated as one of the most performing MPs in Kenya, and with the DJ Evolve incident, He was remorseful and he provided assistance until now. Of course, I do not support whatever he did to evolve, but at least I acknowledge the remorseful nature of how he handled it. And so all these political statements, crimes being pulled from the past, family image being requested, what background being tested are yet but naysayers and noise focusing us on the past and not focusing on the future. Yet what is really important right now is the present and the future. The political space is a reconciliatory space, and it's a space where the beliefs of the people in you outweighs your own belief on yourself. And when that belief is on you, then you accept it and you believe in yourself to lead your people. So irrespective of the statements that are being made, we hope that these statements do not get to a point of affecting an individual belief and confidence in Babu so that he kills his political career just because these attacks are there. Sometimes, as I said quite a number of times before, chaos is a ladder, and you just have to listen keenly on what is being said out of the chaos and use it as a raising ladder to the top of your tree. Our last story on the Civic Lens today is the statement from the book by George Orwell, 1984. The book is called 1984, and the statement says, "Who tells you that if it's not hereditary, it's not permanent?" I just want to take a look at this as we close, as a retrospect on the Kenyatta family. The Kenyatta family walked into power at a time when the power seat was already prepared for them. And by the time Kenyatta was walking into that particular seat that ordinarily ought to have been Tom Mboya's seat, he was walking into a palatable table of power. I believe at that time there were conversations, history details of individuals that wanted the presidency to be hereditary so that it would entirely flow from the Kenyatta family, and if not from the Kikuyu family. And so this was contested, and after it was contested, democracy was introduced. But you could say, looking at how the Kenyatta family has handled their stuff, that democracy could have just been an illusion, and the hereditary spirit of Kenyatta family still runs the Kenyan government. Look at 1978 period when he dies. Moi takes over, irrespective of debates that Moi should not take over, and Moi rules for 24 years, and people perhaps think that the Kenyatta legacy has dwindled. But when Moi is handing it over, there are fit people there. There is Museveni there. No, pardon me, Mudavadi. I always confuse Mudavadi's name and Museveni's a lot, and it's a problem on my side. So there's Mudavadi there, there is Kalonzo there is Raila there at that time, there's Saitoti there, but Moi handed over that power just back to Uhuru Kenyatta, the son of Kenyatta. And of course he didn't win the elections, and Kibaki won for some time. And people have said very categorically that the first rule of Kibaki was run by technocrats from the Kikuyu community who was guiding him on how to lead. And this would make sense because Kikuyu communities are first closer to the capital, and so they are developed and they are advanced in businesses, and Kibaki was a business-oriented man. And so the technocrat leadership runs up to 2006. But now Raila is most likely to win the 2007 elections. What happens? Kibaki and Uhuru Kenyatta joins into the KANU of Uhuru Kenyatta then before Kibaki leaves and forms PNU with Kalonzo. So even at that time, you could still see the involvement of the Kenyatta family in the creation of the second term of Kibaki. And they did. And come 2013 now, the Kenyatta's son takes it over for another 10 years up to 2022 when he hands it over to Ruto. And you could say from the relationship that they have with Ruto right now, that in protection of the dynasty's properties, Ruto has shifted from the hustlers to the dynasties. So the conversations go on that beyond Ruto, who will the Kenyatta family put on the throne? Will it be Matiang'i? Will it be Kalonzo? Will it be Gideon Moi? Or now that Uhuru Kenyatta spent so much time in Nyanza, will it be Babu Owino? And who told you that just because we are not in an hereditary system, it is not permanent that our democracy is embedded on the Kenyatta scheme? This is the Civic Lens.